What can you do if your relationship is not fair? Last video, we were talking about boundaries and if a healthy relationship needed boundaries and what type of boundaries and all of that. Check it out. And I noticed that in the video, you mentioned something about like, well, it's gotta be mutual. Like some boundaries kind of have to be mutual. But that's not really what he said, but it could sound like that. So I just wanted to make sure that it's not misinterpreted, because that people don't misinterpret that, because I have heard some of my clients that they approach some conversations, they approach their issues whenever they feel their relationship is not fair, they approach it like, well, it's gotta be equal, you know, like if you want that, then I want this. And that way of approaching things, you were saying like it's probably not the right mindset
Yeah.
to approach something, because it sounds like battle, it sounds like fight, and
it doesn't seem like you have like almost like a negotiation, like your happiness is not my priority. It's like, oh, you want this, well, I want something out of it too.
yeah.
Compared to, oh, you want this, okay, let's get this because I want you to be happy. Compared to, oh, you want this, I want this. It doesn't seem like a team. It seems like we're negotiating over things. So it's like,
I don't want to lose. I don't want to be on the losing end of this.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel very like you have my happiness as a priority if
but I don't have your back.
I say I want this or I need this, and you try to get something out of it in return.
Yeah. If you guys don't know me, I am Miriam Asib, Commander Mimi on social media, and this is my husband,
Joey, Poker Bubble.
And we have 3 little girls, and this is for them and for you. I think that whenever I felt, we have 3 little girls, right? So it's been very difficult sometimes. We have like a lot of, like, or when they were born, and you have a lot of chores in the house, and sometimes things don't feel fair.
You've had period times, yeah, that just seems like most of the burden was on you and then most was on me. It definitely has been fluctuating through the months, just depending on our situation, for sure.
Yes. So things are not ever fair, I don't think, right?
Yeah, and I don't think they have to be.
They have to be. And also not just with the kids, but also with like work, right? Like whose career is going to be prioritized, right? So even in that sense, we've had to kind of like, well, like
for a little bit we were trying to make it equal, and it was a little difficult. We were trying to make, okay, if you have 5 hours to work on your career, I need 5 hours to work on mine.
Yeah.
So we did transition through different, just figuring out things in the moment. And I do think when we were trying to make it exactly the same, it was pretty difficult.
It's hard.
It just could make some moments were frustrating compared to now that we just make it work. It's not like we have to have exact same amount of time. I think maybe not realize like my time working is for you too. Like, oh, well, how much do we want me to work? If I work 8 hours a day, we'll have this much money to work on stuff. So maybe if I work 8 hours, you could have a nanny and some help. If I work 6 hours, there's no help. We gotta do it on our own. So just realizing like it's not like working is for me, like the money we make is for all of us. So just calculating like, okay, what do we want? What quality of life do we want? And seeing like how many hours we want to work.
Yeah. Right, like at the end of the day, what type of life we want.
Yeah.
And what's going to be more efficient to get there as a team.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, you feel fulfilled that you're going forward too.
That I'm not just leaving my
you may not be
behind,
may not be working as many hours as me, but you are going forward, and like me working more hours gives you some freedom to do other stuff.
Yes.
That if I work less hours, maybe you would have to work more.
Yeah.
So just seeing it as it's like it's a mutual thing. Me working is like you working.
So what to do when your relationship doesn't feel fair or is not fair?
It just doesn't have to be fair.
It just has to feel fair. It doesn't have to be fair, but it feels fair at the end of the day. Like for me, I think that for me what changed a little bit when I was like, okay, I'm not going to be spending as much time working on like my career right now, but at the end of the day, what I want is I want a life like this, and I do want to be successful in my career. I want to do this, but the most efficient way to get there is probably to focus a little bit more on your career. I do this, and that way it's going to give us more for the nanny, and that's going to allow me You know what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say? And it's just that trust and that commitment that I know that he's got my back. And a lot of people also think like, well, what if we break up and I'm investing so much time or so much on this person and we break up or something? Then we also kind of made agreements like, okay, if well, like that's like I'm like 100% committed to him, like I'm just gonna be always with him.
Yeah, I don't even think about
I
that.
don't even, yeah, but we talked like, okay, what you kind of told me like, okay, well, we're gonna get
Oh
a house
yeah,
and it's gonna be
yeah, I
on your
remember.
name,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That when we buy houses, it'll be on your name.
Yes, stuff like that. So it was just like, I just want a house and this and that. Like,
Yeah, because like right now, for sure, if something happened that whatever, but if we I mean, I just never see it, but like I would be able to work and make money, and you would be in a difficult spot because you can't implement. You're working on your skills right now. You're developing them. You're studying, so you wouldn't be able, like right now, you'd probably have to get a job compared to me that I could just. So it's definitely, if things would stop right now, you would be the one in a big disadvantage. So I do think, yeah, there just has to be trust. You have to trust your
you have to
partner.
trust your partner.
For sure, maybe if you're in a relationship that you don't trust the other person has you as a priority, for sure I'd feel like, oh no, this has to be equal. Because I don't trust this guy. Maybe in a year
And,
they're just gonna be out and I'm screwed.
and the thing is, like for my girls, like I wouldn't, like I've seen it so often that women kind of, you know, let their dreams like fall behind because maybe the guy does have more opportunities in the moment, and they kind of like trust like, okay, he's got my back, I don't have to, you know, I'm gonna invest this much in him and I'm gonna step behind, and then they end up in a really bad place. I've seen it like a bunch of times. So I think that it's not like out of trust, but also if you trust someone and if they really got your back, there shouldn't be an issue, right? You're investing this much in you, I got you. The I'm gonna do this to
Help you feel safe.
to help the other person feel safe. Like I wouldn't want them to, you know, just like be like, oh, trust, but even if you really, because like I really trust you, like I know you, right? So I know that you wouldn't put me in a shitty situation ever. But like for them, and because of these things that I've seen,
I mean, like you never know other
them.
people that may feel that way, and it may not be true. Like you never know. Like maybe someone thinks they are. Like, it would kind of be a little weird or warning for me if you're with someone you believe you trust, but that they just try to convince you like, oh, don't worry, you'll be fine, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine, I got
Because
you.
they don't even know. What if something happens to them,
Like,
you know?
come on.
Well, we have our life insurance, but like that way. But like I would want you to feel comfortable, and even, I know you trust me, but yeah, like that's
Like
just when we have a property, we just
is
have it
how I
under
would-
your name, like because like that things are a little more equal. So you know, if anything happens, you have the house. So maybe I'm the one that can make the money, but you have an asset that's worth like fucking like 10 years of me working, you know. So we're kind of there, you know what I mean? So like that for sure.
Yeah, because I think it's all about building trust and just showing like you can trust me and I got you, and it's not just blind trust either, right? I mean, it's there, and you kind of earn trust in a way by doing little things. Like I trust this dude because he has shown that I can trust him over and over and over again. Yet he's like, well, nothing's gonna happen, but I vouch like this, you're gonna have this, you'll be fine. So it's
And
just
like
a
now
feeling.
we're investing money into like education. That's like an investment too. That's for you.
Yeah,
That's something.
Yeah.
Because even though like right now I can't buy you a house, but we're doing as much as we can.
Yeah, to like invest in
Yeah.
me too. I think like when things started to change to not just half and half, we were also seeing who could, because also you were not in a place where like, oh yeah, I can totally make it in poker, like feels 100% like I'm gonna carry the boat, like carry the house, carry everybody.
Yeah, I was still like, who's gonna? Yeah, at the beginning it was more of a place like we're both starting a career, and how much time we're gonna put it in us building it. So even though maybe mine was more direct, I can make money right now.
Yeah.
But yours too, because you get clients. So it was that. It's
Yeah.
like who going to put money into building it compared to now. I just kind of have a set career.
Yeah.
That we have like about almost 3 years now.
Yeah. We have like a lot to make more like exponentially with your stuff, so I prefer that. the point is that whenever I was in that moment that it wasn't feeling fair, I was like, wait a second, like what is fair really? And like I'm like, the point is that we're both fulfilled with what we're doing now and that we're both working towards our future. So even though things are not fair, why focus on fairness? Like I think a lot of people over focus on what is fair rather than how do I feel safe in this relationship? How can I feel safe? What are my boundaries and what are my needs? Like how am I going to feel fulfilled in this life now and for the ideal future that I see? Actually, it's me investing in his career. Like that's the person that I want to be. Yes. Am I building the person that I want to be in the future? Yes. What I think that happens is a lot of people focus too much on what is fair. That type of focus gets you into a battle of who's gonna get what, and we have one pie and we gotta divide it, and that begins a fight. Versus focusing on what do I need to feel fulfilled now, and what do I need, what's my ideal future life that I think right now it's my ideal future life, and how can I get there more efficiently, being the person that I like to be now. How can we get there? Is that the life you want to? Is that, yeah, okay, then maybe this is more efficient right now. And how do I feel trust that even if I'm like giving most of the pie to you, how do I feel safe? What boundaries? How do I feel safe? What do I need to feel safe to get there? And that's a completely different focus. And that doesn't, that takes you into let's talk cooperation versus let's fight for this piece of pie, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a better mindset.
If you're in a business, imagine like all these different people have different skills, but everyone has to do the same thing. Like the business is gonna work way worse than if like, okay, this is, you're good at this and you focus more on this, you're good at this and focus more on that. And partners, especially being, I mean, usually a man and a woman, which is very different. Maybe there's some things that you're better at, some things I'm better at.
Yeah.
So maybe you have more toll or more difficulty on one thing and me on another.
Yeah.
If I think like, oh, you know, I've been doing all this and I'm not, and I feel like I did a lot more and now I'm having to do even more, this isn't fair. It's like, no, well, maybe I can handle a little more this type of stress, and you're handling other type of stress that maybe I'm not even thinking about in the moment, but since he handles it, it's not on me, that'd be more difficult. So just like, I think, I mean, at least on the guy side, just like trying to take as much as I can upon myself where I'm still feeling good and not overwhelmed, and not being kind of like, oh, I already did this, I could do a little more, but no, let her do it because I wanted this to be fair. Like, no, I'm just gonna do as much as I can that I'm not burnt out or overwhelmed. And like, it's just like, oh, maybe I worked this much, but no, I could do this much more. Fuck it, let me do it, you know? So just that, like, it doesn't have to be fair. Just push yourself and do as much as you can that you're happy and you don't burn yourself out. Like, that's the thing. Once you burn yourself out, it's like, okay, maybe I'm taking too much, and you ask for help.
Exactly. And I think that a few times, I think more from my side, I have been that I like push myself to like too much, grab on too much. And I think this does happen to some women, just wanting to be like super moms, right? And wanting to do everything. And
you just have too high expectations about something sometimes, so you just think you have to be perfect.
Able to do this and this and this and this and that.
You always got to be
to
happy with the kids, and you can't get overwhelmed. You can't smack them a few times. You know what I mean?
Sometimes
I was joking about this.
People will notice, but sometimes they won't, because you are like, they're doing their own thing, you know, they're having their own struggles, so it's not like they have to notice. And I do remember a couple times like just me doing like a lot, I feel like, and then just being like, I don't think I thought like, oh, this is not fair. It was just like, I'm doing way too much. Yeah, I'm doing way too much. I gotta look after myself, because I think maybe you didn't notice a couple things that I was doing extra, and I just felt overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
Because of lack of sleep, because of babies, and you know, those hormones, and that just gets to you, right? So I was just like, my lid was flipped, and I do remember just like, too much, I gotta take care of myself, I do this, and you were like, well, I didn't know you were doing that, right? And that's just not about fairness, really. And it could have been a fight about fairness, but it was like, yeah, I'm doing too much, I need help right now.
Yeah.
And it might not be in the moment, like you always, it might be that in the moment you're just more sensitive, you have not been sleeping, and you're just like feeling something like the baby's crying for an hour feels like too much because you haven't been sleeping, whatever it is, it's not like it isn't fair. It's just like, in the moment this is overwhelming, I need help.
I remember I would get
To handle
frustrated
more.
because it was just like, I felt like, oh, I would have helped you, I just wasn't aware you needed help. We're just kind of both getting stuff done. So
Yes.
I remember just over and over again, I was kind of just let me know when you need help.
Yeah,
Let me
before
know
you get stressed.
before, like once you're stressed, it's too late, and
Yes.
then I gotta help, and then you're overwhelmed, so it's kind of me having to help you. It just gets so much more. It's just
Yeah.
like, do as much
Plus
as
the
you
emotional
can that
stuff,
you're
yeah.
okay and you're happy, and don't push yourself farther, because that's just when one of us is overwhelmed, it's just kind of everything's a little more difficult, because now the other
Everything's
person's kind of
exponential. It's
alone.
like double, yeah.
If you catch yourself before you get there, we're still a team, we're both there together, we got
Yeah.
this. But it's yeah, that would make me frustrated. I think you would always not always, but a lot of times you'd be trying to push yourself,
I think
like
I always
just
try to push myself.
like I think you thought you had to do more, so
Yeah.
you would do more, and then you would just be very overwhelmed,
Overwhelmed in the moment, and just
and
like, yeah.
I wake up from my nap to chaos.
Because I wanted him to take his nap because it had to be worth it, right?
But
the
I mean, we were
point-
super sleep deprived in that moment too, so
Yeah.
like that was screwing with us a lot. Like now we're so much
It's
easier and
sleep,
better.
it's
Like
so important. It's crazy. Right?
we were talking about all of this when we were very sleep deprived.
Yeah, when we were very sleep deprived, and we've always kind of like had an eye on sleeping, but shit, it makes such a difference. When you sleep better, you can handle so much more. And those, I'm just referring to those moments because that's like when you could say like, oh, it wasn't fair. It felt like this is not fair. I'm doing all this, and you're not seeing it. So, big part is keeping an eye on your partner. You take care of all of us, right? And I also think the same thing, and it's not like who's really taking care of, is it me or is it you? I think that it's really on both partners to just really think, I'm taking care of my family, right? And you guys have like different skills, probably maybe better at like strategizing or just like thinking future, right? And just keeping track of a bunch of things. And I do think like he's like my baby, and he has mentioned the same thing. You've said the same thing, like I'm just another, and sometimes I do behave like a baby too. I am his baby. So big part is I think keeping an eye on, are you sleeping? I don't think you're sleeping. Maybe let's add a nap, or like just keeping an eye on how his emotions, and if he looks tired and how does he look, keeping just that check-in, right? Checking with each other how things are feeling.
Yeah, that may be nothing that may not even be fair now. I think I do sleep more than you now. That is but maybe for what I'm doing, I need a little more sleep.
I can be a little more deprived with what I do.
Yeah,
I can definitely function good. Like if I start feeling it, like I'll tell you, I'll let you know, like and you will notice, and you'll tell me like, hey, you're looking tired, and you also push me to go to sleep early. Hey, it's your time, go to sleep. But for what you do, it's very important for you to sleep and be as sharp as possible, because we depend on that.
Yeah.
So that's why it may not be fair that he gets to sleep more than I do, but am I going to approach like, hey, you're sleeping more than I do? That's not fair. I just think that this should be equal, and it's not equal. And I think, and that is the problem that I see, that people approach as in things should be equal, things should be fair. And maybe if you want things to be fair, that's fair. That's a fair ask. But if you approach it as fight, like everything that I just said sounds like fight. Sounds like, hey, da-da-da-da-da. That's going to put someone else in the defensive. So if I needed more sleep, it would be the whole thing about what do I want to communicate. That's going to produce a fight. If I'm thinking things should be fair, I'm going to come here and fight for justice, for my piece, my equal piece of pie.
Maybe go rule of thumb, even if you want things to be equal, if your partner brings up something they need, you first focus on achieving that, and then you see how things are, and maybe you feel like, oh, I need this. And once she has what she achieved, you're like, okay, I feel like I think I may need this myself. But you don't bring it up until you've helped your partner get what they needed before you bringing it up.
I think you can bring up whatever you want or need maybe in the most appropriate moment that the other person is most receptive.
I'm the same people that maybe aren't that great at communicating, that aren't the best. Like that could be an easy rule of thumb to begin. I spent a lot of times like dealing with people like, oh yeah, I need this today. Oh well, you need that. Well, I need this. You do this all the time. It's like, oh, you know, like just then don't know how to communicate. Like it may be an easy first step, since it's just like step one.
Okay.
That's not the end goal. It's not the best way, but it's an improvement. Just help your partner get what they're asking for before you bringing up anything. Because if you needed something, you should have probably said it already. Why are you waiting for now your partner? Are you holding it to, oh, they want something to, like, it just shows that you don't yeah. So I just think that's maybe an exercise for people that are bad at communicating to use.
I think it's because maybe some people, and this might be the case, I think that some people hold, like they don't realize their needs. Really, they're not very aware of their needs. And whenever someone else comes like, I need this, it like triggers this like it's unfair, like I also need that, and you're bringing it up, like I haven't told you this whole time, and you know.
And then help the person get what they need if you're open to it, because you don't have to give them everything they want if it doesn't work for you or doesn't make you happy.
Whenever someone brings in a problem, and if you bring in a problem and I'm like, well, I have this problem, it's like putting problem over problem. And
is
then
that called sandbagging?
Yes, kitchen sinking.
Kitchen sinking.
Yes, it's called kitchen sinking. When like, well, I have this, and then we just end up arguing for a long time over a bunch of problems and nothing gets solved.
Yeah, sandbagging was a jujitsu.
Yeah. It is best to problem solve whenever someone brings in a problem, and you can just like think about, oh, I have this problem too, but I'm gonna put it aside after we finished this, like undoing this nut. When this nut is undone, then we can bring in our problem. You know what, I also need this, and then deal with that.
The thing as well, if they say they need something, you bring it up, it's just something you need. It's kind of, I wouldn't be surprised, it makes your partner feel like, oh, it's more important for me what I need than what you need.
Yeah.
So first I want
It's
what
very
I need because
validating.
it's more important for me.
Yeah.
Like I think it's so important. So always making your partner understand, like, you're important to me. I want you to be happy. Like you're a priority. I don't put myself ahead of you. Because I mean, how are you gonna feel trust and safe with someone if they keep on giving you signs that they put themselves before you?
Yeah, like, well, you want that? Well, you gotta solve my problem first. Yeah, so it is important. That's the only problem that I see some partners doing sometimes, is that when they hold their issue for later, is they're still trying to solve this, but with the emotions of, you haven't given me that.
Well, but okay, I'm gonna ask. Like this event, her asking me, help me remember I want this. So I'll hold it because I'm gonna work on getting this. But okay, now I'm gonna bring this up. This isn't gonna be pushed away. Just right now, this is the priority because she brought it up, and I want her to know that I care for her and she's a priority, and I want her to be happy. So this is important for me.
Yes.
So, but I know this is gonna come up after.
Yes.
Once we made it could even be right after. It's like, okay,
Right after.
and we found it. You're happy with that? Okay, so talking about this made me realize I actually would like this. Can we find something for that too? Now that we kind of found a solution for what you had, it could be right after, so you don't have that feeling of like, oh, I want this though, you know. Yeah, things aren't fair.
Your problem, but not mine. Now the thing is, I think that we're better able to do that because you can trust, like following this example, you can trust that if you solve my problem, that you bringing up your problem after, that you can wait, and bring your problem to me after, and it will also be treated as important, and it will be solved.
Yeah.
And some partners don't have that trust of like, well, if I don't bring this up now.
Well, I mean, how do you start to trust? I think you got to take the first step, and if you're helping them, they're gonna want to help you.
Yes.
Like it's equal. You got to take the first step.
Yes, I agree with that. I was just like, okay, let's solve that, and then you can bring up I also need this, and if they don't help you with your need, okay, then it's boundary setting.
Yeah, but now you know, okay, it isn't.
Yeah.
I do have to. I'm not with someone that has my happiness a priority.
And that can help you start filtering, making difficult choices of what you're going to do with their reaction. So I think that's how we've handled fairness. And I think it's the same, like if I was to prioritize maybe some of your needs, and it's just for this, you just have to really keep an eye on how you're feeling. Like if you're feeling fulfilled, like truly fulfilled, you're feeling like something's not fair, I'm investing too much in this relationship and they're not putting the same back, like towards my needs, then there are some needs. And we're going to talk about in a different video about human needs, because some people think that their needs are just basic, needs to survive rather than to thrive. And that's what we're talking about, how to have a thriving relationship. So you know what, I need this. And if they don't want to work with you, some people go into wanting to fight for fairness. Well, you don't want to work with me, but it isn't fair. Like let's argue, and they argue about that. And I think that if they don't want to help you fulfill your needs, then that's the next step. You know what, I really need that for a thriving relationship. If you accept the relationship as it is, then you are going to be drying out little by little in this relationship, because they have the right to just say like, well, I can't fulfill those needs. Like if I start giving you that, then I'm gonna dry out and maybe not be a right match for you. And it is what it is. Sometimes that's the case.
Yeah.
Because there are relationships that are really not fair, but they both feel fulfilled and they're like one person doing the work, right? One person working and the other person just being the housewife and just living life all happy. Some people work like perfectly fine like that.
Yeah. I mean, the guy working just enjoys working, so it's not like he would do that on his own anyways, but now he has someone at home that kind of gives him company, and then she's just chilling because he's like, all right, so like it's just it's like different animals, like species, they kind of work off of each other.
So the point is, things don't have to be fair, but how you approach them, how you approach your feelings matter, how you approach your needs matter. Let us know if you have any questions, if there's something that we didn't touch on, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.